these three national flags. The first one from the left is the South, also known as Kim Ching Nam. It's the first thing in this world called Vuan. It has two uses. One is to point in the direction of the existence of evil, and those with malice. Dangerous for the holder of the Ti Nam within a 100-mile radius. This use is counter-divination, anti-prediction. It's almost impossible to avoid. 2 is only for children under 14. Capable of leveling up a disaster within 100 miles. White Tiger heard and applauded excitedly. This is good. We can use it to find the mastermind in Henan. The sound inside continues. The second object is a long head. According to the ancient pre-dynastic construction of Ra, this path can be carved with Buddhist carpets. When he heard the second object, he nodded. This object can be of great help. That year, my father and I used it to behead the Northern Sea Dragon King. When he finished speaking, the sound echoed. The third thing is thousands of people. It's made up of people's anger. Died in a self-promotion event. The use has not been determined yet. His eyes only know that it can weaken. Restriction of unorthodox sacrifices. And the angel used too much fire incense. Do you have anything to exchange for these three treasures? Just nod your head, no need to take them away. Go home early. The situation there is increasingly unstable. Then we'll move to Shinju. From the house of the 6 state arsonists. People are slowly coming out. The people outside were surprised to see that. Why is it human? The young man in red looked around for a moment. Then look straight. The crowd is too crowded. That's fine, as long as we find it later. Finished talking behind his back. A monster filled with murder appeared. The people of the 6 states saw that and were horrified. Son of a bitch, he's a master. Bar like this. That year was even worse than that. Don't talk too much. Prepare to fight. The young man in red looked at them and said, I can't help but hear the sound of him. The evil god inside. The corner of my mouth is a little tight. Next, from the 8. In his hands, there is no stopping water. Very quickly, the water flowed out to the feet, the people outside. I looked in wonder at the bottom. What is this water? He often fell down next to me and immediately answered. Maybe it's the freakish goldfish that spilled out. I guess its effect is to line the yard and market. In front of 2 people, red shirt and young man, were staring at each other right now. On one side of them, there was the dragon boat. On one side is the blood of a tiger, and you're a very violent animal. The young man in the red shirt laughed and laughed. Or one by one, looking at the enemy. Then he glanced at the priest behind him. Rooster Kim, let's prepare for this time. When you finish speaking, immediately jump up. The young man in red laughed coldly. Head up to the first fight. That's overconfidence. Finished talking. Immediately mobilize the market towards the enemy, crashed Ra, despite using very fast speed to dodge. But he's still got this injury right through his ear. Too hurt. He doesn't care either. A strong grip on the enemy's field of battle. The other hand. Draw the sword from the side towards the neck of the enemy. The young man in red quickly used his other hand to stop his move. 1,000 self-harm, 800 SAO, that's interesting. LG writers don't pay attention to. He immediately looked back and shouted. Don't even take this opportunity. He just finished. There were countless arrows that didn't shoot up. The young man in red saw the object encroaching. Then he decided to throw away the school. Back behind dodge. Look at the archers on the roof. The corner of his mouth is slightly raised. The strongest man in charge of melee. The rest of you are attacking from a distance. I don't care if you take off your shirt. Park the fallen prize. You're going to deal with the freakish goldfish in Kier. Give me this lance first. Move the scene to Sun, Hai Ti, Ji Lam in Kaifeng. At this time, the people followed the two Hein Vu people here. He saw them go to the watchman and asked, "What's wrong with Jilin? Hanam Highway has a change. I need the falcon to take Duong to Tiju." When he heard that, he said nothing. Move the scene back to Shinzu. Hordes of 6 states is constantly pointing the bow and arrow at the red man. Looking at their faces, he smiled a little. They're all martial artists. They've abandoned their ability to fight independently, turned to corporal punishment in the military. It's interesting not to blame the demons in Xinjiang. They were all destroyed in a short time. So the people here play in groups. Rooster Kim on one side. It's also developing some kind of dharma right now. Deity chondrite isotope. He just finished chanting. Under 2 feet of literature, 2 yellow bamboo cards appeared, and he kept on glancing at him. Next, prepare. Give me the power of armor. The golden rooster seriously nodded. And then he picked up the knife again. The young man in the red shirt laughed excitedly. It's interesting, but at the same time in the east, the same great Han dynasty is walking on the road. Kier just went and asked, "You must have taken the place of the fairies. What do you say here?" "I want to cut the iron, I am sure." It's hard to understand why that is even more bizarre. This place doesn't look like it's been through 3 lifetimes. Then have you made a mistake? Double-wind quick answer. Because Caca and her teacher. They're all people with strong air power. Can withstand the consequences before their airflow runs out. The police here will not suffer. When you hear that, you understand. Then Ra is like that. Go meet your attachment to this world for a little bit. At the same time on the fishing side, Tran Hung took out Sun Hai's heart and looked at 6 questions. You have to eat Ra. 6 without hesitation nod. That's right. Tran Hung looked at the heart in his hand for a moment. Then open your mouth and bite. Then there's the constant chewing sound. 6 by my side watching it all from beginning to end. Deep without speaking. Turn the scene to the 2 Haiyan Vu and White Tiger. 2 people right now. Each of you is riding on the back of an airplane. Straight to Kizu. White Tiger looks at the compass turning blind in his hand. Difficult to understand uttered, something is wrong. When he saw that, he asked why. White Lake looked at him seriously. This guy seems to have lost his soul. From the moment we entered this Henan territory, it keeps spinning and never stops. If you listen to that, you are silent. After a while, look at the distance and say, it could also be because of the number of people hiding in Henan. There's a malice that can intimidate us. Has crossed its mark limit. Its limit is only 8 positions. Move the scene to Shinzu. The left has once again carried the knife to the red shirt. This time his technique is the most Kwang Han sword. The best 8 knives. This move is so fast, the man in the red can't escape. Both of his shoulders were immediately cut with fresh blood. But very quickly, he disappeared. Directly ignore the script. Go straight to your school. He also realized his intention to scream. Stop him from getting hurt. The soldiers above. You hear that? It's so loud. Direction of the school shooting. The young man in red accepted being shot. Quickly take back the punishment. Then quickly run away. The writer saw it so quickly chased him. Don't run away. The young man was surprised to see him chasing him. Why did he catch up so quickly? That's why he's so fast. It's because of 2 cards under my feet. The cover card again flared furiously. Follow that. The speed of the movement was once again improved. In the blink of an eye, he chased the young man in the red. He didn't hesitate again to graduate. Best Sword Han Kwong 16 Final. The sword turns into countless red threads, endlessly slashing the enemy. At the same time, the people at the mountain. A incense stick on. 8 incense suddenly off broken. The beach is amazing to see. Ask the fence over there. It's not like what happened. You see his smell is broken. Qin Yang thought for a moment. Then speak up. Don't compare him to the 7 kingdoms. He's not the kind of person who has a habit. When you encounter someone weaker than you, you are as contemptuous as Kier. The 10,000 soldiers next to him could hear him. Immediately scream out. Who the fuck are you talking about? Move the scene back to Shinzu. The wind on the ground. This is the wound caused by the sword. After a while, his body was like that, slowly crumbling into countless small pieces. The writing is slowly coming back. Then look at the people. Order, tell the brothers outside to clear the seal. And send a letter to the king of Tuizhou. The devil doesn't need reinforcements this time. Turn the scene to the Sun San crowd. One of them suddenly spoke up. That's not good. That's what happened. The dead puppet I arranged next to him is broken. It just happened. Back to the Shinzu side. The decapitated body of the crane. It's slowly moving in the direction of the bone gathering. The people around me were disgusted. What is this? It's disgusting. His face dropped. Is some kind of resurrection magic Sao? He immediately turned his head and told the Taoist behind him. Hurry up and strengthen your armor. The Taoist immediately pronounced the decision 9 Taurus to Tiger. Isotopic dissociation force. Very fast Kim Kwong from above the prophet is transferred to him. Writing time. Not just his legs, but his hands. Was also covered in bamboo armor. The opposite side. At this point, the body is fully formed. He laughed excitedly. Haha, it hurts. A cold face. He gritted his teeth and said, Monster, Sao, and he soldered from within and took out a sigh. The puppet is dead. This time he will be reviled. Give a match show. It's a real mess. PT Shi and Shi Shan follow him to recite the mantra. The 2 feet of literature were retained by countless water spikes. The foot was also hit and slowly dragged underwater. I didn't wait for him to think long. The crow disappeared in place. Appeared again. I stood next to the people behind me. The terrified rider turned his head screaming. Run, you are not his enemy. He looked at the people on the roof laughing. Then start killing from you. After a while, all the archers on the roof. He was completely dealt with. Then there's the people below the ground. They're all killed. 01 AI escaped. Angry text blue ribcage floating face turned. Look at the priest. Hurry up and take shelter on people. The master immediately nodded and handed over the handshake. Right now, a long spear pierced through his chest. The queen looked at him furiously. I almost forgot about you. His eyes were filled with blood. I have to kill you inside. 2 people often fall. This time, the Kier monster flew out. Water monster 2 Han 2, extremely majestic tree, also follow out. Park Feng was blown away and said bitterly, Fuck it, this is not a normal monster at all. Where have you fallen so often? He just turned his head and looked, and his eyes were so big. I often fall down and suddenly stand there. Their old man is locked up. The priest was stabbed in the chest by the keyer. Lift your mouth endlessly for help. I saw two people standing up. The bird was also surprised to see the monster. What are you doing? Why are these two kids still alive and dancing? Can you finally get a feeling? Deep sea monster wearing standing motionless spot speaking up. At the same time at the king's house. The two Hai and Vu people are here drinking tea with the king. They were the 6 disciples of the great emperor. After listening to two people talk for a while, the king asked again, "Are you sure?" The Sun Yin people dared to blatantly arrange the sacrifice. Orthodox plot to summon the reincarnation of Buddha Sao. The two Hai and Vu in the white clock answered, "We are sure." The king saw their steady attitude. Then you fall into meditation. After a while he asked again, "Is there anything I need the king's help with?" The Lord quickly said out, "Do you bother your majesty? Information for the defenders of the cities in Henan. Let them confirm the status of the emperor there. If the king's condition is abnormal, send a letter to the king immediately to let us know." When the king heard that, he answered. At this moment in the distance, there was a flying eagle. The king saw that and immediately asked, "Where did the letter come from?" The man opened the letter, took a look, and then replied to Shinju. When the king heard that, he was startled. I remember there seemed to be something strange there. White Tiger immediately asked, "What exactly is that? Is it convenient to say out a bit?" Move the scene to Shinzu. The remaining 3 of the 6 states. Right now, he's looking at the crane with his deadly gaze. They laughed and looked at them. "Don't use these eyes to look at me. It's embarrassing." When I saw him walking around like that, I was even more angry. Immediately turn your head and glance behind. Often fall away from the throne. Heaven fell. When you hear that, nod. Turn the magic in your hand. Before the incomprehensible gaze of the crane. The position of 2 literary and often fallen. Immediately be exchanged, free from bondage without hesitation. Immediately towards the enemy. When you see that, your face is serious again. But we use this kind of method to break the previous wave of Qin Tian Jiang. See the enemy coming, he threw the body forward. The letter quickly slipped to the side to avoid. But only in that moment. The queen has also disappeared. Once again, he appeared behind the scenes. Your anger has blinded you. You should be a little more careful. When he finished, he raised it to the medical school, aimed at his head. It is not enough to avoid right away. Now a tail appears. So close to the chapter. It makes it impossible to move. The hand is the wind. He stared at the Sao. The one who has to die is you. The author did not miss the opportunity. On the metal outburst. Extremely fast vibration coming. Crown pole turning. When I saw the writing coming, I realized. What's wrong is switching positions. Fly close to the emperor. The shirt on the rider broke. Muscles on the belly rise aright. Directly to the crown's face. This is his right. The power of 9 Taurus and 2 tigers. The emperor eats this one punch. It's like a kite breaking a rope. Non-stop tumbling away. They're always interested in the person in front of them. Without even remembering that, there's a sea monster standing there in the back. It immediately seized the opportunity to disappear on the spot. 2 straight-faced giants often fall and hit. By being tied up in front. So he had absolutely no way of avoiding it. He was beaten to pieces by this monster. The horse is also sitting up now. Wipe the blood from your mouth. Laughing is a good feeling. Looking at literature, the crow stood in front and was afraid. That name is still alive. The head of the prize is trampled on by the enemy. Two eyes filled with blood, screaming for the fall. He just screamed. Then the sea monster is also crushed. The head often falls. The wind completely lost its reason screaming. I have to fucking kill you. The cloth on his face was also cut. He looked at the other side and said, your life is big. To even one punch is enhanced by 9 Taurus. 2 powerful tigers can't kill you. And the wind is blowing its nose. Because Lao Tzu used to eat an even stronger crowd before. You're still far behind. A cold look at the enemy. If the usual way couldn't kill you, then you can only use it. The angel has 9 years. Mankind has 7 sufferings. The first is that the eye cannot see. He said he blinded his own 2 eyes. When the emperor saw that, he opened his mouth. But he didn't notice that. As soon as you remove your eyes, he went from level A to level A. He's still standing on the side, constantly poking fun, blinding your own eyes. This guy is crazy. Your brain is sick of water. When your body is perfect, you won't even fight me. Now remove 2 eyes. How else do you fight me? He didn't pay attention, he continued. The second is that the ears cannot hear. And then he took away his 2 ears. The black face is now serious again. What the hell is this guy doing? The wind in the back also glanced at the literature. The owner wants to use that. We don't need to keep it. When he finished, he turned into a half-ape. This is the state of the devil. The monster saw that and spoke up. What it says is the language of the world's ecstasy. It's just the object of someone else's abdication. Even if you give up on yourself now, willing to be assimilated by the tailed ape, the increase in power cannot change anything. Today, you and your team, we can't avoid the end of being killed. At this point, he has completely lost consciousness. In his head only, there's only one thought left. Kill the monster in front of you. He doesn't notice everything. Immediately jump up and attack towards it. Move the scene to the other side. Hyan Yu and White Tiger are riding to chase. Tan Shou. He sat on the back of the horse in a hurry. How much longer to come? The pilot will arrive in half an hour. Hyan Vu asked again, can you be faster? The prophet can. But we're going to expend a lot of energy after we get there. The possibility is that we can't help the fight. When you hear that, you say, don't worry about this. Fly as fast as you can. Next to the White Tiger also said to the falcon, your falcon too. Fly as fast as you can. 2 birds don't talk much. Immediately apply all the force of the wind to fly. On this side, the left continues to destroy itself. The fourth suffering the hand cannot mention. Now the air is on his body. Has made a breakthrough in martial arts or disaster level. The fence is on the opposite side. I also realized something now. This guy's energy is stronger than that. It can increase power very quickly. Through self-destruction. Yourself. We have to stop him quickly and not let him continue. He said he just rushed to the library. The corners of his mouth were raised. Did you realize that? But it's too late. I have gathered all of my strength. The power of the devil is no less than disaster level. Let's die, asshole. A powerful explosion by the force of combat disasters immediately flared up, at the same time on the side of the blessed inn. This place is now completely empty. The 2 men went into the room together. Tan is completely without AI. It's hard to say raw. There is no one here you speak of. There are just now. We use the malevolent observation of fire to look it around. In the city, there is no fire of a Class B fighter. Become the person you say you are. It's not that it's not in the East. This man is the devil on his knees. Fong Duo. Looking at the room in front of me is hard to understand. It's impossible. My chain of cause and effect, and he hasn't broken yet. If he moves to another city, I'll be able to sense it right away. Then speak up. So it's because something happened here. He glanced at him. I can only ask you to open your eyes for a moment. The demon without hesitation immediately responded. Then close your hands. Law enforcement opened up yin and yang labels. After a while, on his forehead appeared a third eye. 10 people sitting by the window waiting for CA immediately appear. The devil quickly asked if she was that girl. Fang Du shook his head. It's not the day of the angel that I've mentioned to you before. Next is the scene. She fell into a dream. The devil saw that and continued. This is some kind of magic. Can make people in a certain range fall into a dream. SAO style double quick answer. It's not magic. It's magic. It's called the greatest dream. Move the scene to Shinzu. After a hard fight, the ultimate winner is the sea monster and the crane. The two of them were sitting on the rubble resting. The crow now has half a deformed face. He's still a little scared. Hell, it's almost 7 in a row. Life is here. The water monster on his face was also filled with wounds. One ear was also cut off. Dressed sitting there. That's when the 2 white tigers arrived. About 15 minutes left. After an exchange of notes, listen to them. Qin Yang just spoke up now. That's why you were sent to the end by F-level martial artists. I almost used up my uncle's room. Yes, but they all have a cause. State 6 Union. Training into a very demonic technique. It can raise the bar. Through self-destruction. When I found out, I was serious. But he still beat him half disabled. You can't blame me for this either. The frequency of Yang nodding. I will see what you say is true. At this moment, he looked at the 10,000 soldiers laughing. Haha, so in us. Was beaten by a martial artist to not lift the pothead up. It's not just one person. The 10,000 soldiers heard this, and they grimaced, just hands screaming. Who are you talking about? He laughed. I didn't expect you to be beaten by a high school boy, not even for someone else to say. 10,000 times the army. Angry to the extreme screaming, I see you are the one who is missing the beat. He said he wanted to dry his blood. But it's so damn hard. Take the chain around your neck and pull back. Don't stop me. We've got to let this fucking Justin know today. Why is the Google review channel so good? Move the scene to Shinzu. At this point, the 2 men also ran. Look at the ruins below. White Tiger felt the words. The Museum of 6 failed. The serene Haiyan replied in anticipation. In the event of filial rationality, 6 states have 2 players staying East A. For 2 years now, they haven't found a proper fighter yet. To pass on, the church has many shortcomings. Broken up by other players. It's also normal. Even if the opponent is Sun, Yin, and degenerate the Buddha. The gap is really too big. Come on, let's go down there and join them. The 2 of them jumped off the back of the bird. They just landed on the ground. 2 colonists are sitting in the rubble. It can also be touched immediately. The sound echoes inside the transducer sphere. What's wrong with you, Lord? He looked in front of me and someone came. You 2 are strong to go before the boundary. White Tiger couldn't help but ask. Wait a moment to meet the enemy. How do we divide it? But I can't wait for the painters to let me. God's grace is given to you. The enchantment was quickly burned. When they've just stepped into the water, the monster could sense it. It's afraid to turn and look at the crane. Ready to fight, they're here. Hyan Yu took out a charm. Let us break your battle first. North Korean wind. According to his words, the water's freezing at an extremely fast rate. Scared to stand up. What's going on? How long has it been since the war of the hunch was broken? Inside the sound transmission sphere, there was a rush of sound. Go quickly and use my power to you. The startled bird replied. It's not clear who's coming. You told me to leave. Where is my nose going? Tired of biting his teeth, he was serious. If you don't leave, you won't be in time. He just finished. 2 white tigers came in front of them. They saw the old man. The crane was afraid. Peas are serious. Then, from the chest, take out a leaf. Intuition helps us extend time. Water monster in front. Immediately, without hesitation, nod. The enemy wants to run. It doesn't say much. He wrote on his hand with blood. The monster now risked his life. Hyan Yu turned his head and glanced at the white tiger. White tiger nodded and understood. Then he disappeared on the spot. The 2 great giants of the sea monster. He was stopped by 2 swords. White tiger one-click stop. The monster smiled at him. Adults working. What's a dwarf like you doing with your hand? The devil is angry when he hears that. Face color is extremely unsightly. The eagle looked at the door of space. Are constantly appearing, and behind my back, I don't stop praying. Hurry up a little faster. The opposite side. Seriously, this is a great time. Dried carpentry feng spring. The tree's roots quickly turned to where the crow had struck. The space behind the door. He also opened up a little. Look at him calmly and stay here. Follow this shout of his. The door stopped. There's no way to keep moving. The mountain people looked at the wings of immobility in front of them. They all stand in the picture. The bartender couldn't help but ask, what's going on? When the door opened a little, it stopped. Qin replied, because of the speed of time in Xinjiang, it's been slowed down. It's amazing. Look closely at the speed of time on the Kier side. The door is slowing down. Wait, it's not that he hasn't finished. Chen Chen continued to speak. The door only needs to wait for 2 breaths. It can be automatically opened. It may take 1,000 breaths now. With the current rank of the Phoenix, before we go to the rescue. Then seriously, Hoa has won. When I heard that, I was amazed. Not that far. They're all disaster level, and they have a sense of help. Maybe they will lose so quickly. Smiling cold. Haha, this world kills much less people. Compared to the previous life, him of the present, I can only say that it is stronger than martial arts. It's a little mediocre. But seriously, it was in existence. It's very close to the red. Do you think you can compare between them? The side of Shinzu after the space gate was stopped. The crow's face is extremely tense right now. Look seriously in front of you. Fuck it. Emperor Sao sent the old turtle to Henan. Look at the enemy a little bit. It is interesting to meet you for the first time, but you gave me a sense of familiarity. It's hard to understand. The crow in my heart. I am not his opponent now. There's no other way. You can only use this for a little while. I hope the old man's rescue comes in time. When he thought of this, he ran out. Human resources training emphasis. There were countless other illusions around him. Seriously, laugh at that. I still want to rock. That's interesting. When he finished, he took out a leaf from his chest. Without any hesitation towards the opponent that throws. Where do you fly? The land was beaten to pieces. When you see this, you are a little scared. This is too much to say. Then countless powerful explosions began to occur in quick succession. Turn the scene to the Sun crowd. I'm still looking at people who say, that's it. We can't just stare. The crane was killed, even if he is captured alive. Not dead, based on the torture power of the great. Our position in Henan will be exposed. Without the restraint of the Buddhas in ecstasy. The world with our fighting power now. It's absolutely impossible to shake the muscle. The root of the great Tun in central New Yen. He thought for a moment and then said, on the contrary, there is a way, but you have to pay the price, and the old man has to pay the price. That's what the dorm sounds like. Then look at him. How to ask. Move the scene to Shinzu. After the dust is gone. There was a huge tear on the ground right now. It is caused by flowers. I was a little surprised to see the enemy thinking. I've clearly aimed at that door just now. But why is it only cut off in one corner? Maybe he used a trick to deflect the SAO slash. He was filled with fear and looked at me. It's just a handy move that has this kind of power. But that year was not so strong. What the hell is it? He always tells us to be careful. If the 4 statues of the great Tuns were all at this level. Don't let him breathe long. Strictly again take out 2 matching leaves. That's it. Just do it again. Finished talking, he then threw 2 straight cards at the enemy. Last time, a leaf that makes the hornet have a little food without spending. This time he directly launched 2. Make him scared to the bottom of his mouth. I don't know what to do. At the same time inside the door behind him, there's a bunch of cows out there. They quickly launched out against the attack of the 2 evasive cards. But seriously, it was a little surprising. Is SAO reinforcements? It's cold. It's a shield in front of the crest. And then inside your slit, there's an outstretched arm. Grab the back of the crane. This arm is a piece of shit. She quickly pulled the pole inside. If you see that, immediately take out for blue leaves. Want to run SAO is not so easy, Udo Min. Fire up for me. The fire appeared. The cold was burned to ashes. The fire was burning through the door. Burn up the pole. Then LAN out the hand of the devil. She turned her head screaming in fear. Frequency in the ocean, hurry. Then he nods his head and takes out a large leaf. Her arm is being burned by Udo Ming. It was immediately cut off. Then go to throw out a buffalo seed towards the charred body of the phoenix. This is Shou's fire, his special French cow. Shou County quickly annexed all the city's men fire. On the throne waiting. After the fire was completely destroyed. I looked at the body. If you are not dead, shout for an hour. After a while, my body is burning black. My eyes suddenly burst out. Move the scene back to Shinzu. The monster is currently being tortured. Put your feet on your neck and run. Complaining bazaar chase in behind extremely thong dong. It looks like you're playing. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and shouted. 100 soldiers dance and dance. Immediately, the sea monster is running towards. Before, they were stopped by countless weapons that formed a barrier. I saw the weapons in front of me. It doesn't choose to be aggressive either. It immediately disappears in place. The body should jump over. When I saw that, I looked at it. 100 soldiers dance. In the void, an iron equator appears. The monster couldn't react. I'm bound by this iron chain. It looks like a normal iron equator.